The mandate consisted also to consider other elements of the draft decision as set out in Annex 2 to Document 9, taking into consideration the comments made by parties. The contact group worked intensively throughout this week and submitted CRP 12 for our consideration. I now ask the Secretariat to introduce you the CRP 12. You have the floor.
Thank you, President. I am pleased to introduce CRP 12, Draft Decision on Establishment of Mercury Waste Threshold. The draft decision as set out in CRP 12 starts with preamble paragraphs presenting the background of the decision as well as the expression of concern on illegal traffic of mercury waste and acknowledgement of the disproportionate negative impact of transboundary movement of mercury waste on developing countries. The draft decision establishes 15 milligram per kilogram total concentration of mercury as the threshold for waste falling under subparagraph 2C of Article 11. It also provides for an opportunity for parties to take an alternative approach to determine whether certain waste falls under that category of waste. The draft decision also provides for support to parties in the identification and analysis of mercury waste, work to collect information on waste management regulations and practices, use of the guidance document on leach testing methods for mine tailings, collaboration and synergy with Basel Convention, and so on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Secretariat. Before we start our consideration on the CRPs and the draft decisions, I ask the two co-chairs, Zaigam Abbas of Pakistan and Carissa Kovner of the United States of America, if they wish to make any comments. Co-chairs, you have the floor. I have United States of America first, followed by Pakistan.
Thank you very much, Madam President. In addition to the CRP that was just so nicely described by our colleague Isaku from the Secretariat, thank you for your support this week, Isaku. We would like to just note that in our discussion of legal clarity with respect to the Basel Convention and the Minamata Convention on mercury wastes, we did have quite a nice discussion amongst many of the parties about the relationship between those two conventions and the coverage of mercury waste. And we would like to read a statement from the group to help further or future COPs or perhaps future expert groups understand our thinking. And we would therefore like to ask it to be reflected in the meeting report. So if I may, Madam President, thank you very much. The group discussed different scenarios and found that Article 11, Paragraph 3C is already clear in setting out the applicable legal regime. Only one Minamata party is not a Basel Convention party. That's funny. The Basel Convention applies to all Minamata parties that are parties to the Basel Convention. As that one party normally trades with Basel Convention parties, Article 11.3c of the Minamata Convention is also in fact clear for the situation with that party. Even for parties that would take advantage of the alternative approach in paragraph 2 of the decision, which could lead parties with different thresholds to trade together, Article 11.3c is clear that the Basel Convention governs the transboundary movement of the Minamata Convention mercury waste, and the Basel regime itself already has what it takes to deal with the situation where the scope of waste varies between the parties of export, import, or transit. That is Article 6.5. A party would therefore be able to refuse an import of mercury waste with a higher mercury content than what applies in its country. We therefore do not think there is a gap or a need for further action by this COP. So with that, Madam President, we would like to ask that that be inserted into the meeting report under the contact group for mercury waste thresholds. We would also note at the very end of our decision, there is a list, and we too, much like the reporting group, had an "and" after a semicolon that we have would like to see inserted in that decision. Thank you very much. And Zygam, if I could, do you have anything you'd like to add? And if not, I'd like to thank you for being an excellent co-chair and hand the microphone back to the floor. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, United States. Pakistan, please.
Thank you, Madam President. I and my co-chair, Ms. Carissa, are delighted that we concluded our work and prepared CRP on mercury waste threshold with the support of Secretariat and the technical experts present in the room. At one time, the negotiation was just about to fall apart. However, sincere efforts of all the participants to find the common ground led us to clean text, which includes a threshold value that all the parties can accept, arrangement to accommodate different approaches that parties took under different circumstances, expression of deep concern on illegal traffic of mercury waste, and the acknowledgement of the potential negative impacts of transboundary movement of mercury waste on developing countries. It took the conference of the parties 7 years to come here. While celebrating the completion of the work of the contact group, we have to note that establishment of threshold just makes it possible for us to start addressing mercury waste with the power of the Minamata Convention. The work of the contact group for the past 3 days are supported by a great number of active delegates who led small group discussions, provided useful information, and proposed helpful languages. With my co-chair, Ms. Carissa, I sincerely thank the cooperation and constructive spirit of the delegates. The draft decision now available at CRP 12, and we will look forward providing same remarks on CRP. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Pakistan. Thank you, both co-chairs, and also I would like to thank all participants of the contact group on mercury waste threshold for your very intensive and extremely productive work. Congratulations. Let us now consider the draft decision. Noting that the contact group agreed on a clean text, I propose to adopt the decision as set out in CRP 12. Are there any objections to my proposal? I see no further requests for the floor. It is so decided. Excellent. So this concludes the consideration by the meeting of the agenda item 4F. Congratulations. Now we move on. Item 6I, Program of Work and Budget. I invite COP5 to turn to this agenda item, and following the substantive discussions and decision at this COP, the Budget Contact Group deliberate on and agree on a budget for 2024-2025. The co-chair of the group have worked hard Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and this afternoon with the aim of arriving at a decision following the finalization of the draft decisions by all contact groups and plenary. I hand the floor now to the co-chairs of the contact group. I see Czech Republic, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President, and and good afternoon, colleagues. Basically, you already summarized our work, and indeed, we did meet throughout the week from Tuesday till Thursday, and of course, even today for the clearance of the remaining decisions from the budgetary perspective. And already yesterday, we managed to successfully conclude on the budget table. So basically, the task of our contact group to prepare the decision text and the budget table with the program of work activities and to clear other decisions from the budgetary perspective was completed successfully. And this is simply to use the opportunity, of course, on behalf of my co-chair and myself, to say, you know, that we very much appreciated the constructive spirit of collaboration in the contact group. And we like to thank all the participating parties for the dedicated participation, and of course thank the Secretariat for its excellent support throughout the whole week. And certainly it was a pleasure and honor for the both co-chairs to work with you all during this week. Perhaps I could hand over to my co-chair, just, you know, because I'm pretty sure Maria would like also to say some concluding remarks from her side. Thank you. So with your indulgence, yeah, I'm handing over the word. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Czech Republic. I see Costa Rica.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Thank you to my co-chair as well for the both of us. It was a pleasure really to do and work in this contact group. Thank you all the parties for a very collaborative work, and the Secretariat, of course, for all the help. I think it was a very nice teamwork, as I mentioned before. And also, as I said at the end of our group today in the afternoon, we keep the promise of finish early and finish the work. So I think everybody was happy about that. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Costa Rica. And many thanks from my side also to both of you and all the participants in the group for your very important work done in a short period, let's say. I mean, I think this is the spirit of this COP, so thank you very much. I now invite the Conference of the Parties to the Minamata Convention to proceed with the adoption of the draft decision set out in CRP 6. Are there any objections to my proposal? I see Bahrain.
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, I don't have any objection on this, so to be relaxed. Actually, I would like to intervene here about some points. I want to raise it to the plenary, but let me first thank the co-chairs for their guidance, and also all delegates in the contact group for the spirit and the achievement that we have received too. I would like also to thank the Executive Secretary actually for the excellent document that provide to us, the contact group, which facilitate to us a lot of the and easier our work during this week. As you are aware, all of you, we agreed to go to the 5% scenario, not 0.1. And even with that one, I understand, even from the Secretariat side, the difficulties going to face the Secretariat and also the delegation in upcoming needs. And I would like to focus more with regard to the capacity building and the technical assistance program with regard to the developing countries. As we are aware that every COP that we have new decisions, new obligations, and these obligations actually take a lot from the developing countries. And with regard to the amount that we put for these activities in the building capacities, we found it always not coming in from the core budget. Normally it's come from the special fund. And just I would like to share with you some figures here. With regard to 2022-2023, as an example, the agreed budget was for these activities around 1,520,000, but the realized budget was only 767, and even the expenditure was less than this, within 10,000. We cannot have enough building capacity for our countries in the same time that we have every time new decision, new obligations, we need to achieve them. We need to be in line with the conventions. I'm looking here for the sustainability. I'm thinking loudly to say, for this convention, to achieve our goals, we need to look for how to build the developing country capacity and give them enough needs. And I am looking forward to the donor countries also to look forward about this point in the future. From my side, I didn't try to stop anything, taking into account the limitation of the fund. But I promise not to stop things, but to be more discussed in coming COP if we didn't take account or care, about this activity. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brazil, for your statement. No, Bahrain, sorry. Brazil is next, so I'm thinking very fast. You are next, Brazil.
Thank you, Madam President. You're always fast, and I thank you for that, because I think we will all be glad to finish early today. And I start by reassuring you I'm not opposing the decision. I didn't do the homework as precisely as Bahrain did. I have not figures, but I'd like to support what colleague from Bahrain just said, in the sense that we are working hard. I do believe we are bringing new decisions, which of course mean new obligations for the parties and for the Secretariat. We ask for new reports, new activities, support for existing activities, and always we care, depending on the availability of resources. So I just want to echo the pledge for resources, for donations for the Special Trust Fund, for the specific international program as well. It's a young convention, and I think a very promising convention. The numbers of parties is increasing, and developing countries count on the continuous support for increasing capacity and means of implementation to face the challenges and meet the obligations agreed upon by the COP. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brazil. I have now on my list South Africa.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I'll be very brief. So I would also like to add our voice to the statement made by Bahrain and Brazil with regards to capacity building and technical assistance. We appreciate, I was in the budget contact group, all the meetings, and we really appreciate, I was there on behalf of the Africa group, and we appreciated the cooperation and the flexibility from the colleagues, but we certainly do call on donors and those in a position to do so to certainly consider the item on capacity building and technical assistance, because it is extremely important for developing country parties for them to be able to comply with their obligations and implement the Minamata Convention. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much, South Africa. I have no request for the floor, and I'm going to ask you again if there are any other objections in order to adopt the draft decision as set out in CRP 6. I see no request from the floor, so decision is adopted. Thank you very much. And with this, we conclude the consideration by the meeting of the agenda item on program and work and budget. Thank you. We move on now to item 7 on venue and dates of the 6th meeting of the Conference of the Parties. The venue and dates of the next meeting, the 6th meeting of the Conference of the Parties, are to be decided now here at COP5. I would like to invite the Secretariat to inform on planning for date and venue of the next meeting of the Conference of the Parties. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. According to Rule 3 of the Rules of Procedure, the meetings of the Conference of the Parties shall take place at the seat of the Secretariat unless the Conference of the Parties decides otherwise or other appropriate arrangements are made by the Secretariat in consultation with parties. The seat of the Secretariat of the Minamata Convention is Geneva, obviously. No offers to host the 6th meeting of the Conference of the Parties have been received by the Secretariat. The Secretariat has tentatively booked the International Conference Center of Geneva for the period from 3rd to 7th November 2025, with preparatory meetings to be held on 2nd November 2025. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretariat. I suggest we decide to hold a meeting at the date proposed. However, the date is regarded as tentative, as the Secretariat will still need to confirm the availability of a suitable venue. Now I'm asking you if you can agree on the tentative date of the 6th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to be 3rd of November to 7th of November 2025 here in Geneva. Are there any objections to my proposal? I see no request for the floor, so it is decided. Thank you. And we move on to item 8, other matters. I would like to invite you now to present any proposals for other matters. Is there any proposal in the room? I see no request for the floor. Thank you. Let's move to the next agenda item then, adoption of the report. I would like to invite the Secretariat to introduce the item. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. The meeting report covers the proceedings in the plenary sessions of COP5. The report of this meeting is compiled in 3 parts. The first part is the L1 document covering the plenary sessions on Monday and Tuesday, which is available in all UN languages in the in-session section on the website. The second part is an addendum to the L1 document, L1 Add 1, covering the plenary sessions on Wednesday and Thursday, which is available in English on the website. The third part, which will cover the plenary session today, will be entrusted to the rapporteur with the support of the Secretariat. This is consistent with the standard practice of all past meetings of the Minamata Convention. The text of all decisions adopted in plenary will be annexed to the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretariat. At the outset, I thank on your behalf the report writers, Secretariat, and Rapporteur for their work in preparing our report. As indicated by the Secretariat, document L1 covers our discussions from Monday, 30th of October to Tuesday, 31st of October, 2023. Document L1/Add1 covers our discussions from Wednesday, 1st of November to Tuesday, 2nd of November, 2023. Now I would like to call on Marie-Claire Plenary from France, the rapporteur of COP5, to take us through the draft report. It will be appreciated if parties could focus on making substantive comments only. As you may know, the adoption of the report is not an opportunity to renegotiate issues, but to reflect what happened during this week. Interventions should focus on what was said, and the interveners should have the opportunity to correct the record if their intervention is not accurately reflected. Editorials, comment, or errors in translation may be brought to the attention of the Secretariat in writing at the address you may all know already, MEA-Minamata-CRP@un.org. I remind the meeting that we are now in decision-making mode, so we'll be accepting interventions from parties only. I now hand over to the rapporteur to take us through the document. Marie-Claire, you have the floor.
Okay, merci.
Thank you very much. So I have been tasked to present the document from the beginning till the end. We are going to do that by blocks of paragraphs, and I'm going to request comments on each block. As has been pointed out by the President, I will ask you to focus on substantive comments. So we can start with paragraph 1 to 5. No, 1 to 3. Would there be any comments on these paragraphs 1 to 3? I don't see any requests. Well, in that case, let's move on to the following paragraphs. Paragraph 4. The next one, please. Paragraph 5, which isn't really complete on the screen anyway. We can go. We can scroll down to the end of the paragraph, end of paragraph 5. Now, the following paragraph. Paragraph 6, thank you very much. 6 and 7. Thank you. The next one. Paragraph 8 to 11. Paragraphs 8 to 11. Thank you. The following paragraphs. Paragraph 12. Well, that's the agenda. Well, we can go through it quite quickly. Right. Paragraphs 13 and 14. The next one. Thank you. 14. Well, I don't know if it's only the beginning of 15. No, we can continue, thank you. So it's 14 and 15. The next one, please. 16 to 20. Yes, thank you. Next one, please. 21 to 23. The next one, please. Okay, 24, 25, 24 and 25. Thank you. Next one. 26 to 29. The next one, thank you. 30 to 33. Yes, thank you. Next one. 34 and 35, or 36 as well. Thank you. Next one. So 37 and 38. Thank you. 39 to 41. Thank you. 42 and 43. Thank you. Right, the end of 43, the tail part of 43. Okay, 43 complete. 44 to 46. Thank you. 47 to 49. Thank you. 50. Well, it's like I'm playing bingo. Thank you. 51, 53. Thank you. 54 and 55. 56, sorry. Thank you. 57 and 58. Thank you. 59 to 61. Thank you. 62. 63. Thank you. 64 and 65. Thank you. 66 to 70. Oh. Thank you. 71 to 74. Thank you. 75 and 76. 77 to 80. 81 to 83. Thank you. 84 to 86. Thank you. 86. Now 87. Thank you. 88, 89. Thank you. 91 to 93. Thank you. 94 and 95. Thank you. 96 to 99. Thank you. 99, yes. 100 to 103. Thank you. 104 to 107. Thank you. 108 and 109. Thank you. 110 to 112. Thank you. 113, 114. Thank you. 115 to 117. Thank you. 118 to 120. Thank you. 121, 124. Thank you. 125, 126. Thank you. Yes, 126. Yes. 127 and 128. Thank you. 129, 130. Thank you. 132 and 133. Thank you. 134, 136. Thank you. 137 and 38. Thank you. 139 to 141. Thank you. 143 to 147. Thank you. 149 and 150. Thank you. 151 to 155. Thank you. 156 and 157. Thank you. And I believe that we got to the end of this report. Well, we can consider this document clean, and we can now move on to the next document, L1, Add 1.
Donc,
So, paragraph 1. Thank you. Paragraphs 4 to 6. Next one. 7 to 9. Thank you. 10 to 14. Thank you. 14, yes. 18, 19. Thank you. 20 to 23. 20 to 23, thank you. Thank you. 24. Thank you. We continue until 32. 32 to 35, please. Thank you. 36 to 38. Thank you. Oh, Apple. Oh, what shall I do? Right. Guinea, you have the floor.
C'est juste.
Well, it's just an observation that when we look at a paragraph, we need to have the text of an entire paragraph before us, because if you can only see half of the paragraph, that's not good. Thank you.
Excusez-moi, là, j'étais...
Oh, I apologize. I'm just getting to grips with how this works. So, Guinea, could you please repeat what you said? Because even though what you said was in French, I couldn't hear it. Now, I just wanted to say that you're going too fast, and when you give us the number of a paragraph, we can't consider a paragraph that we can only see half of. We need to see the entire paragraph, the entire text before us. Thank you.
OK, merci, je vais essayer d'aller...
All right, well, I'll try to go a little slower. All right. So where were we? 36, 37, and 38.
OK. Suivant, merci.
Next one, please. 38, 39. Thank you. 40, 41, 42, 43, and 44. Thank you. 45, 46, 47, 48, and 49. Thank you. 50, 51, 52, and 53. Thank you. 54, 55, 56. Thank you. 57. 58. And 59. Thank you. 60, 61, 62, 63, and 64. Thank you. 65, 66, 67, and 68, and 69. Thank you. 70, 71, 72, 73. 74. 75. 76. 77. 78. 79. 80. 81. 82 to 83. And I believe we have completed the reason. The text is considered clean. So thank you. And now I'm giving back the floor to the President for the approval of this report. I thank you.
I would like to call bingo anyway. But thank you very much, Marie-Claire. It was very good. I propose that we approve the report of our meeting containing documents L1 and L1 add 1. Are there any objections to my proposal? I see no request for the floor, so it is adopted. Thank you very much. So, I'm pretty sad to say, from my personal perspective, that we ended we are at item 10, closure of the meeting. I know it's a good timing, and it has been a tremendous week. And I would like to thank and salute each of you today. I will also like to recognize that a number of non-party states followed our deliberation too. So we hope you too will conclude your ratification soon so that we may all stand together as one Minamata family. Because we need to make Mercury history, of course. I would like now to invite short statements from parties at the closing at this time. Let me take a look to see who raised the hand. Okay, so list is growing, and I'm going to give the floor first to San Lucia, followed by Iraq.
Madam President, delegations, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. St. Lucia takes the floor on behalf of Latin America and the Caribbean and congratulates you, Madam President, for your excellent leadership during the COP proceedings and wish you well in your future endeavors. We would also like to thank the Secretariat for their support and guidance leading to COP5. We also wish to recognize with appreciation the work of the delegation of Guatemala as GRULAC coordinator during COP5. GRULAC is proud to have been the proponent of CRP1 along with Australia and Canada on indigenous peoples and local communities, which became the very first decision adopted by this COP. This document provides for special attention to some of the groups most affected by mercury pollution. It is intended to address the effects of mercury from all sources and, in so doing, complements the decision that deals specifically with ASGM. This COP has produced several important decisions on matters such as amendments to the Convention, mercury waste thresholds, mercury supply and trade, capacity building, and gender mainstreaming. In the discussions that led to the adoption of these documents, we often found the expression, subject to the availability of resources. In this regard, we call on donors to make contributions to the Special Trust Fund and the specific international program. As mentioned in our opening statement, mercury exposure has differentiated effects on the health of women and girls, underscoring the need to formulate policies that address these impacts. In this context, GRULAC wishes to highlight the progress achieved in the Budget Contact Group, which will enable the implementation of the action plan in this area, particularly in relation to gender awareness and training. Our region welcomes the fact that after 7 years of work, it has been possible to adopt a threshold to define mercury-contaminated waste so that all state parties can move forward with the implementation and compliance obligations of this convention regarding the management of mercury waste. We also consider it important that this decision includes a provision for those countries that are already implemented documented waste management measures to protect human health and the environment. We want to emphasize that this document also includes provisions for exchanging experiences and challenges in implementing this threshold, as well as elements for capacity building, which we consider important for developing countries. We appreciate the work of the experts from different regions who formed the expert group during these 7 years. We recognize the important agreements reached to improve mercury-controlled trade, in particular, to highlight the willingness of parties to strengthen the training of custom officers in an effort to guarantee exports and imports of mercury are carried out in compliance with the convention, as well as a greater commitment of parties in reporting illegal mining activities. GRULAC welcomes the establishment of the Effectiveness Evaluation Group and looks forward to contributing to the process towards the completion of the first effectiveness evaluation, as well as the new P3 position to support the effectiveness process and reporting, since these are the main aspects for the implementation of the convention. As we head into COP6, we hope that the decisions adopted in COP5 will bring us closer to our mandate. With GRULAC holding the presidency of the Bureau, we are encouraged that we will be motivated to work towards accomplishing the objectives set up in the convention. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much, San Lucia. Next on my list, Iraq, followed by Botswana.
شكرا سيدتي الرئيس. لا يسع وفد العراق بعد النجاح.
Thank you, Madam President. The delegation of Iraq.
For that, I really wouldn't, I'm not doing this, I'm not happy doing this, but as you may be aware, the coordination of our region group meeting was in the hands of a country which is not part to this convention and therefore did not take the floor, because we understood that parties only, or at least parties first, would address this meeting. And I understand by the report and credentials, we just saw it on the screen, that Iraq, having not provided a proper credential for this meeting, is sitting as an observer. So I would just ask for clarification on these rules. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brazil. Let me check just to be clear. Thank you. Thank you very much. So indeed, Brazil, you are right. As we speak, there are no valid credentials for Iraq. So if you indulge me, I would like to continue giving the floor to parties. Thank you very much for understanding. So in this case, next on my list is Botswana, followed by European Union.
Thank you, Madam President. Distinguished delegates, Botswana speaks on behalf of the Africa region. We would like to thank the President and the Secretariat for the successful organization of COP5. Our thanks also goes to the government and the people of Switzerland for the excellent hospitality. We would also extend our gratitude to the donors for all the support provided to us. Distinguished delegates, here we are at the end of the 5 days of intense discussions amongst parties in a bid to keep our obligations to protect human health and the environment against anthropogenic mercury emissions and releases. We can congratulate ourselves for having made a tremendous contribution to the global fight against mercury pollution. As part of COP5 discussions, the Africa region submitted the 3 amendment proposals on lighting, dental amalgam, and cosmetics. The purpose of these proposals was to protect the environment and health of the global community. It is our firm belief that we will conclude these and many other remaining issues to do with the harmful health and environmental impacts caused by these hazardous and harmful substances, and indeed make mercury history. In conclusion, Madam President, we are proud of the work our region has done to ensure that people, businesses, and governments around the world no longer have to tolerate inefficient and toxic products. The global consensus created here in Geneva this week sends a clear message that together we can prevent further dumping of inefficient products and avoid additional mercury pollution. In the same line, the Africa region hopes that COP6 will progress to adopt the phased-out date on dental amalgam and other emergent issues relating to mercury-added products. We would like to urge all of us to begin implementation according to the objectives set within the Minamata Convention and the amendments we all agreed upon. In order to effectively implement the convention, our region is of the view that capacity building and technical support are key pillars. We therefore urge donor parties and those in a position to do so to contribute to the Special Trust Fund so that sufficient financial resources are available for capacity building and technical support to enable smooth implementation. This also applies to contributions to the SIP. On behalf of the Africa region, I would like to congratulate all of you once again on the achievements we attained during this COP and wish you all safe travel back home. I thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Botswana. Next on my list, European Union, followed by Saudi Arabia.
Thank you, Madam President. I have the honor to speak on behalf of the European Union and its member states to make our closing statement. Madam President, distinguished delegates, the European Union and its member states would like to thank the host country Switzerland for their warm hospitality and excellent organization in hosting COP5. We congratulate you, Madam President, as well as the members of the COP5 Bureau for your efficient leadership and steering during this week. We thank you, Madam Executive Secretary, together with your great team, for guiding the Minamata Convention so effectively in the recent years and for preparing and supporting this fifth meeting of the Conference of the Parties. The Secretariat has been extremely helpful and they have worked tirelessly throughout the week. Thank you all. Madam President, distinguished delegates, the Minamata Convention on Mercury celebrated its 10th anniversary during this COP. It is fair to say that also thanks to the decisions taken this week, the Convention is step by step reaching full maturity. The decision on effectiveness evaluation will set the grounds for looking into how this Convention can further improve its effectiveness. Thanks to the efforts and the constructive spirit of all delegations, this COP managed to adopt a high number of very important decisions. Most importantly, the COP managed to find an agreement on all of the remaining issues from COP4, notably by agreeing on a single threshold for mercury waste and on phase-out dates for the mercury-added products. On mercury-contaminated waste, agreeing on a single value for a threshold based on total mercury content after 7 years of discussions is a major step forward, which will allow parties to implement Article 11 of this convention. In addition, the COP made further amendments to Annex A and B to the convention, which helps parties to continuously reduce the use of mercury, protect the environment, and safeguard human health. We are particularly impressed by the efforts everyone has made to ensure that the manufacture, import, and export of mercury-containing lamps and the production of polyurethane using mercury will cease. We sincerely regret, however, that the COP did not reach agreement on phasing out the manufacture and trade of dental amalgam. We are of the view that this is unnecessarily delaying an urgently needed decision on the phase-out in order to guarantee the health of dental practitioners and their patients and to protect our environment. We truly hope that the parties can find agreement on this matter at our next COP. We congratulate the new members of the Bureau, the Implementation and Compliance Committee, and the Governing Board of the specific international program for their nominations. Madam President, distinguished delegates, the EU and its member states stand ready to continue actively engaging over the next 2 years in intersessional work, and we look forward to exchanging information and sharing views with parties and others to prepare for our next meeting. All who belong to the Minamata family can be proud of what has been achieved this week, and we are confident that this will contribute to sustain the spirit of Minamata, to make his Mercury history for the benefits of the planet and its people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, European Union. Next, Saudi Arabia, followed by Georgia.
Madam President, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegations, it is a great honor to read this statement on behalf of the Asia-Pacific region at the end of this conference. Let me begin by expressing our sincere appreciation to all organizers of this meeting, especially the Secretariat for their hard work prior and during the COP of the Minamata Convention, President and all participants for their active participation, which led us to successful concluding this COP. Madam President, I am pleased to announce that in the course of this COP5, both in plenary and contact group meeting, we had a productive discussion that came up with rich outcome. We hope the adopted decision would enable us to continue improving our effort to reach the objective of Minamata Convention. We appreciate that all these decisions were adopted on a consensus basis, as it creates a strong sense of commitment toward the shared responsibility and common goal Our region firmly believes that these decisions that are going to help us to protect the environment and the human being came out of this firm belief that each party has an equal right that is guaranteed by the United Nations Charter as principle. Despite all the challenge, we all together made significant effort to implement the provision of the convention in this way. Asia-Pacific region, as of the firm belief that the effectiveness evaluation process has a top importance to achieve the objective of the convention. Therefore, we are glad that we all together could reach a notable breakthrough on the establishment of the effectiveness evaluation group at this COP. Our region is ready to engage fully in the first cycle. We look forward to the meeting and achievement of the effectiveness evaluation process on the next conference of the parties. We recognize the high level of collaboration and constructive spirit that was evident throughout the contact group of the NXA and B and West. Asia-Pacific region contributed and facilitated the discussion actively and showed the spirit of flexibility to achieve agreement in both agendas. We are pleased that we together could come up with a tangible progress in adapting decision on the required topic. Regarding the waste threshold, our region welcomed the decision made by the party. Meanwhile, we highlight the recommendation of technical experts to assist the party in identification, analysis, and other elements of the environmentally sound management of mercury waste at all levels. Madam President, the Asia-Pacific emphasized the need to increase support, and particularly for developing parties, by providing a technical assistance, transfer of technology, and capacity building, which are essential for implementation of the Minamata Convention and decision adopted at this COP. In addition, our region would like to emphasize the importance of financial support. This aim as enhancing national capacity in mercury management and promoting the effective implementation of the Convention, providing transparent and accessibility financial mechanism is necessary for the effective implementation of Minamata Convention on mercury and developing country. Environmental protection is a shared responsibility of all humanity. Therefore, we shall collaborate and strengthen our effort to contribute to the well-being of our future generation by reducing the human exposure to mercury. The Asia-Pacific region remains ready to take its role and constructively engage with all parties of Minamata Convention. Together, let's make mercury history. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Saudi Arabia. Next on my list, Georgia.
Distinguished delegates, COP5 President, ladies and gentlemen, I deliver this statement on behalf of the region of the Central and Eastern Europe. I'm sure you will agree with me when I say that throughout our joint effort in the last 5 days, we have made a significant progress in pursuing our journey towards making mercury history. Our region is pleased with the result achieved at this meeting. Among the many important decisions, we in particular appreciate the adopted amendments to annexes and agreements on phase-out dates for mercury-added products, agreement on the mercury thresholds in waste after 7 years of scientific deliberation, and also adoption of the effectiveness evaluation group. We believe the adopted amendments will further reduce the global demand and supply of mercury and its compounds and contribute to the ultimate phase-out of mercury-added products. We thank the African region for their initiatives and efforts in preparing those proposals. Nevertheless, we really regret that the agreement on dental amalgam could not be reached and urge all parties to make arrangements to achieve in the next time. Further, we would like to thank all the co-chairs of the contact groups and facilitators for their efforts in managing discussions and in keeping a constructive but friendly atmosphere during the negotiations. We compliment the Bureau for their work and support during their whole mandate, including the COP5, and we extend our special thanks to Ms. Claudia Sorina Dimitrou, our COP5 president, for her great leadership and excellent representation of our region. To conclude, we are looking forward to participate in the work between COP5 and COP6 so that we are able to adopt the remaining phase-out dates and further advance other open issues at the next meeting in 2025. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Georgia. I don't see any party requesting the floor except Chile, and you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Just to give thanks to you for steering our negotiations and deliberations all this week. I know this delegation has been harsh sometimes, but we believe that you have done an extraordinary job conducting the meetings of these parties. To the Secretariat also, our sincere thanks for the logistics and for the excellent organization of this meeting. From the Executive Secretary to all the staff, especially those who has make us look good and bring back unforgettable memories home. These thanks go to Chiara for taking these wonderful pictures of all of us. These are memories that we will cherish for a long time. To the report writers, to the interpreters, and to all delegates and other participants who have worked so hard and in collaboration to reach consensus while preserving their national positions. And to the contact group co-chairs for steering our negotiations successfully. Madam President, as we look ahead to COP6, let us strive to make it a landmark event in our collective journey. Let it be a milestone where we can look back and say, this is where we turned the tide in our fight against Mercury. Let us make Mercury history. Together, let's safeguard our shared home, our planet, to ensure it remains a place of safety and prosperity for the generations yet to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chile, and thank you, Osvaldo. You're going to have some work to do in 2 years from now, and I apologize in advance if I set the bar too high. I promise that I won't cry, so please. Okay, so coming back to our list, I don't see any party requesting for the floor. So if distinguished delegation from Iraq would like to express their views now as observers, you are most than welcome.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I should like to apologize profusely for the delay in receiving the credential papers. This is something that was out of our hands. Iraq should like to congratulate itself and all of us for the achievements in this meeting. Thanks to you and to all the participants. I should also like to thank the Secretariat. Iraq also congratulates Chile as the next president of COP6, and we wish them every success. And we hope that we'll make headway in all the essential and important causes close to our heart. We should like to thank all those who participated in contact group, in drafting meetings. All these meetings, whether Group A or B, have reached excellent results, and we should like to thank them for their patience, for their perseverance, and for their hard work. We should like to add our thanks to the hard work of the Secretariat for their excellent work. We also thank them for their patience and for their dedication and providing us with all assistance needed. For all parties participating in this meeting, observer countries and other observers, we should like to thank them for their contribution to the success of the negotiations. We mustn't forget Switzerland for hosting this meeting. We mustn't forget those who work behind the scene, such as security people, the interpreters, press writers. And without the help and work of all of us, we wouldn't have reached this excellent result. I wish you all safe trip back.
Now move on to IPEN, followed by World Alliance for Mercury-Free Dentistry.
Thank you, Madam President. I give this closing statement on behalf of IPEN, a network of more than 600 public interest NGOs in all over 120 countries working for a toxic-free future. Since the Mercury Treaty was adopted 10 years ago, much progress has been accomplished with the support of all stakeholders. At COP5, several important decisions have been made which provide a good basis for the next 10 years. But soon, we would like to see a strong action by parties to end mercury trade globally, set a firm date to end the use allowed, provision for SAGM under Article 2, and identify health-related activities to address mercury poisoning. The West stakeholder decision, while celebrated by some for achieving any outcome on the issue, is really quite problematic if you are to be honest with ourselves. While the 15 mg kilos threshold is workable, if somewhat high, the opt-out clause, where any country can use any threshold or definition they choose, undermines global harmonization on the issue and opens the door to a transborder exploitation. It is clear that such loopholes are not all addressed under the Basel Convention. On a more positive note, we welcome the forthcoming cooperation and collaboration between the Minamata Convention Secretary with the Montreal Canning Global Biodiversity Framework, which will provide a new overview to address the urgent issue of the contaminated sites. IPEN looks forward to COP6 and a far more ambitious agenda that refocuses our attention on the core convention issues of human health and mercury pollution. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Ipen. Next on my list, World Alliance for Mercury-Free Dentistry, followed by Say No to Mercury.
Madam President, we thank you for your prodigious energy and results you have brought to this convention. We thank the Secretariat, Executive Secretary, and the team for their flawless work, start to finish. We note that the shift is occurring southward, and we congratulate the new Chilean president of the upcoming COP6. The World Alliance for Mercury-Free Dentistry is grateful to the Africa region for its unparalleled leadership in moving this convention and this world toward mercury-free dentistry. Together, we shall make mercury history. Together, we shall make dental amalgam history.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Next on my list, Say No to Mercury, followed by Kenya.
Thank you, Madam President. Say No to Mercury would like to thank you, Madam President, the Secretariat of COP5, and the Swiss government for their gracious hospitality, and of course, all of the participants who worked so very hard towards so many successful outcomes. We now have concluded this very significant COP5 session. Many advances have been made. However, yet again, no definitive phase-out date for ending mercury in the age of dentistry has been established. Distinguished delegates, this should deeply concern every participant in this treaty process, especially those with grams of elemental mercury implanted in their own teeth. Why? Because it has been clearly established by evidence-based scientific studies that mercury dental amalgams are not inert, but emit dangerous levels of mercury vapor. How is it that we continue to allow people everywhere around the world to be poisoned when so many affordable mercury-free alternatives exist? As identified in our submission paper to the Secretariat, many countries with populations over 100 million from many different economies have already banned its use, and more continue to do so. In preparation for COP6, Say No to Mercury strongly encourages parties that have been resistant to a phase-out of mercury dental amalgam to enter into dialogue with the parties that have successfully phased out mercury dental amalgam in order to learn the successful mechanisms by which they were able to address the economic challenges of providing mercury-free alternatives to their public health dental programs, and also how they addressed the biased pro-mercury dental insurance policies. Furthermore, what needs to be remembered is the fact that the longer mercury dental amalgam remains a legitimate mercury-added product, the opportunity for more illegal diversion into ASGM sector remains. This loophole must be closed as soon as possible. Let's not forget the other pathways of mercury contamination that dental amalgam pollutes our planet. It enters the environment through the human waste of people having these silver fillings, such as the simple act of breathing, sewage sludge, burial, and cremation. Meanwhile, mercury releases generated from each dental clinic are the major source of mercury polluting the wastewater treatment plants. Viable solutions exist for a universal phase-out of mercury dental amalgam by 2030. It is up to all of us to collectively make dental mercury history. Thank you, and we will see you each again in COP6.
Thank you very much. Next on my list, Kenya, followed by United Nations Environment Programme.
Thank you, Madam President. Kenya appreciates the host government of Switzerland for hosting this COP, and Kenya also appreciates the great leadership of the President of COP5 and the great organization by the Secretariat. As a future party, having ratified the convention, Kenya looks forward to active engagement and support in realization of making mercury history and also with synergizing with other conventions. Kenya requests the development partners and donors to contribute to SIP and the Special Trust to enable developing countries and future parties to to effectively implement the provisions of the Minamata Convention on issues such as the ASGM, mercury in products, and dental amalgam, which is pertinent to Kenya. Madam President, Kenya also invites all the distinguished delegates to INC 3 on the Global Treaty on Plastics meeting, which is going to be in Kenya from the 13th to 19th of November this year. And also Kenya welcomes all of us to UNEA 6, which will be in February, also in Kenya. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Kenya. Next on my list, United Nations Environment Program, followed by, Collaborative Labeling and Appliance Standards Program.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, building on what the government of Kenya just said, UNEP also wanted to take advantage of this occasion to invite all parties attending this gathering today to also attend the 6th session of the United Nations Environmental Assembly, which is scheduled to take place in the UNEP headquarters in Nairobi from the 26th of February to 1st of March 2024. For the first time, the 6th session of the Assembly will also feature a Multilateral Environmental Agreement Day, which will be held on Wednesday, 28 February. So we wanted to make sure that everybody is aware of that, and the overall theme will be around effective, inclusive, and sustainable multilateral actions to tackle climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. This session is also expected to adopt a ministerial declaration and to agree on very crucial actions to tackle the triple planetary crisis. And we hope that everyone could attend. We will have an MEA's Day as well, which will be under the leadership of the President of UNEA, which to us will be a great opportunity for the Assembly to enhance its relationship with the MEAs as well by strengthening, hopefully, convergence of actions and sharing of experience while also providing increased visibility to the MEAs. During the MEA's Day, we'll have two high-level dialogues, which will be held around two themes: strengthening science policy interface for effective implementation of MEAs, and strengthening cooperation between UNEA, UNEP, and MEAs to enhance effective implementation at the national level, including through means of implementation. Finally, Madam President, would like to congratulate you for your great leadership, for leading us through these past 5 days. You did set the bar high. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, UNEP. Next on my list, Collaborative Labeling and Appliance Standards Program, followed by Indonesia.
Thank you, Madam President. On behalf of the Clean Lighting Coalition and CLASP, we are elated that during this week at the Minamata COP5, 147 governments have agreed to phase out all fluorescent lighting by 2027, and for some categories as early as 2026. This development complements similar decisions taken a year and a half ago at Minamata COP4 and will effectively end the fluorescent lighting industry. The impacts from COP5 decisions will cumulatively, between 2026 and 2050, avoid 2.7 gigatons of carbon emissions, save 1.13 trillion of electricity bills, and eliminate 157 tons of mercury pollution, both from the light bulbs themselves and from avoided mercury emissions from coal-fired power plants. The CLASP and CLIC teams congratulate the parties and all the stakeholders involved in the preparatory work for saying farewell to fluorescence. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. Indonesia.
Thank you, Madam President. As the COP4 president of this Minamata Convention, I would like to extend appreciation and congratulations to you, to the Secretariat for their hard work and the Switzerland government for their hospitality. I would like to congratulate all parties for the great work, constructive spirit, so that we achieve consensus for the decisions. It is now come the more important period for the implementation of the decisions. Hope to see you again at the next COP. Together, we could make Mercury history. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Indonesia. I have no request for the floor. So now it's time to invite Ms. Monica Stankiewicz, Executive Secretary of the Minamata Convention, to make her closing remarks to the meeting. Monica.
Dear delegates, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. You have achieved something extraordinary at this conference of the parties. You have truly come from across the world to Geneva to show and reaffirm your strong commitment to achieving the objective of the Minamata Convention. You brought with you constructive spirit that has made it possible to adopt many important decisions, making this COP a great success that we will remember for many years. If there is one aspect that I will not forget about this COP, it is how much you care about the convention and how much each of you try your best and work hard to deliver at this COP. From the bottom of my heart, I would like to thank our president, Claudia Sorina Dumitriu, for your leadership and for the warmth that you brought to the meeting, and for making our growing Minamata Convention family comfortable and supported to successfully complete the challenging tasks that we face this week. Further, I would like to express my sincere gratitude and appreciation to Switzerland, the host country of the Secretariat of the Minamata Convention on Mercury, for your continuous support. I thank and congratulate all parties for continuing to breathe new life into this living instrument that is our convention. Thank you to the Bureau members, the co-chairs of the contact groups, the facilitators of the Friends of the President groups, and all delegates who skillfully steered proceedings to their successful conclusions. Allow me also to thank the many observers who contributed to making this COP a success. I cannot imagine what this convention would be like without your active engagement and dedication. I would like to also recognize and appreciate the incredible work done by UNON, the editors, interpreters, report writers, conference services colleagues, photographers, the media, journalists, exhibitors, security officials, IT and technical services colleagues, at this event. All you have contributed to its success. And lastly, I would like to thank my wonderful colleagues of the extended Minamata Convention Secretariat for the enormous work you have done for this conference of the parties. I'm proud of you, and I will always cherish what we have together achieved at this COP to help parties negotiate for the best outcomes possible. Once again, thank you so much.
So, first, I have kind of a long statement. It's in two parts, and since it's my last time, please bear with me. So, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the end of COP5 after having worked hard and productively throughout the week. With all your valuable support and commitment, we have successfully completed COP5 with important decisions. In that regard, I would like to extend sincere gratitude and appreciation to all delegates for active participation and valuable support. Your commitments have made COP5 successful. Big applause for that, please. I would also like to thank Monica and the Secretariat team. to Marianne, to Lara, to Isaku, to Richard, Irene, Anna, Sandra, John, and not the least, but the most important maybe sometimes, Alexandro. I would like to thank also to the interpreters, to conference services, IT team, logistical team, and other relevant institutions and individuals who have worked tirelessly and patiently to ensure that this COP is conducted in a smooth and inclusive way. I really appreciate that. And I hope our close cooperation will continue also in COP6 and beyond. We really have an obligation to contribute to ensuring the health and well-being of our future generations by reducing human exposure to mercury. Let's not forget that we are here to make mercury history. As I said, this has been a tremendously productive week of this convention. As we look back at the decisions we have taken this week, I think we can all be excited by what we have achieved. Our decisions can only strengthen the implementation of the convention and speed us towards the goal of making mercury history. To get this outcome, I know we all have worked hard, even when tired. We have pressed to get our views heard and understood and to advance our positions. But each party also has had to accept that others may not share their positions. And so we have worked hard to find compromises that are in the collective good. On the first day, I referred to the need for us to work collegiately, in the spirit of collegiality. And the Secretariat reminded us of the need to abide by the code of conduct. I mentioned that also we need to take care of each other, to be healthy and to work together for a successful outcome. I ask you all to carry these thoughts forward when we meet again under the Minamata Convention or even the other venues where we are working to make important decisions. I recommend you to continue in future meetings to work together with mutual respect and in the spirit of appreciation for all values. For me personally, it was a very special week, and I can tell you now that I saw differently from the podium, the COP. I see some of you in a normal shape in front of me and the others very small, but I know that it's the other way around. Next year I will be in the plenary, thank God for that. But I can say that it was the best week of my life. And no, I'm not crying, it's just too hot here, so excellent. Before closing, I would like to pay my special respect to one of our dearest friends that he's attending now his last meeting. I'm talking about Karel Blaha from Czech Republic. He was my mentor in this topic, and I will always appreciate his advices and the way he pushed me to go further. So Karel, thank you. Two more lines. First, I now close the 5th meeting of the Conference of the Party to the Minamata Convention on Mercury, and Excellencies and distinguished delegates around the world, I look forward to see you in 2025 here in Geneva. Stay healthy and safe. Thank you very much. Now let's party.
Tonight I'm going